the Sirui 35mm Nightwalker T1.2. This is the second lens in the set, and it's possibly my favorite. Now, if you're watching this video, you probably have seen the first video I posted, which was of the 24mm, and I'm going to be doing a review of the 55mm T1.2 as well. I'm going to get straight to it and talk about the range. Now, the Sirui Cine lens set comes in a 24mm, a 35, and a 55mm, all at T1.2. And in this video, I will just be showing you 35mm footage. So through this entire video, make sure to watch the whole thing. You're going to see a ton of B-roll footage, all taken with the 35mm. That's why I've made these videos broken up into each lens. Now, on that note of the 24, 35, and 55mm, there is very hyped up rumor that Sirui may be making another wider lens, which could possibly be a 16 or 17mm, as well as a possible 75 or 85mm lens. Now, if you want to know how that works out to your camera, well, the Sirui range is available in quite a few mounts, and that is Sony E, Fuji X, RF for Canon and Red Komodo, and obviously what I have here for MFT. So I'm shooting on the GH6. Most of the footage that you're going to see is GH6 as well as GH5S. So this 35mm equates to 70mm full frame equivalent focal length, just so that you know. Build quality. Now, just like the 24mm, built like a tank, solid piece of metal. These new affordable Cine lenses that are coming out are amazing build quality. I don't understand how they build it with this quality when you look at some other lenses. And I'm going to put this against another lens just now that everyone knows. In true Cine lens fashion, this is full manual focus ring as well as a aperture ring. The focus ring on here is insanely smooth. I don't even know if you can hear this. 270-degree focus throw, and obviously the aperture ring is also manual from T1.2 all the way to T16, and it is clickless or stepless, so it's completely smooth with no hard stops at all. And for those of you wondering what it looks like at T16, I've actually never had to stop this down to T16, because at T5.6 you get those beautiful starbursts that you get. So the characteristics across these Nightwalker series lenses are amazing. T-stop versus f-stop. Now, I've explained this in the 24mm, so I'm not going to really explain it again, but in a nutshell, if you set this to T1.4 and you swap it out to another lens at T1.4, it's identical. You don't have to adjust your exposure like you would have to if one lens is f2.8 and another lens is f2.8. It's not an exact measurement. And yes, at T1.2, these Nightwalker lenses live up to their name because they can practically see in the dark. If you have a good low light camera, these things are insane. I suppose T1.2 could be very close to f1 or f1.1 for those of you that are wondering. The Lumix 12-35 f2.8 versus the Sirui 35mm T1.2. This is always my favorite part of a lens review. Now, you may be asking yourself, why on earth would I compare this Sirui 35mm Cine lens against the Lumix 12-35 f2.8? Well, the Lumix 12-35 2.8 is your standard kind of full frame equivalent 24-70 2.8 lens that everyone on MFT kind of knows. It's the benchmark of lenses. When you buy a Lumix camera, that is the lens to go for. It's crisp, it's clear, and it's essentially almost perfect. So what I'm going to be doing is taking this at 35mm and the 12, which I have here, and the 12-35mm, and I'm going to be zooming this at 35mm, so full zoom, so that's 70mm, and taking this at 35mm and comparing them to look at picture quality, the bokeh. This isn't exactly a fair comparison, but it is relatable for those of you that are out there looking at a lens like this, and you probably have this and you're wanting to know, should you buy it? So you get the idea. This is the Sirui 35mm at T1.2. It's soft, it's streamy, it's beautiful. This is the Sirui at T1.4, a little sharper on the face, but still the bokeh is very similar. Now, this is the exact same settings on the camera, same shutter, same ISO, but the Sirui is set to T2.8. You can see just how much brighter T1.2 really is. So when I obviously adjust the exposure, this is the look that you get out of the Sirui at T2.8. Now comparing that to the 12-35 at 2.8. Now this lens is pin sharp, but check this out. This is the Lumix at 35mm, fully zoomed in at f2.8. Now side by side, when compared to the Sirui 35mm at t2.8, you can see that they exactly the same sharpness. You cannot see a difference. Now, although you may not see a difference in the sharpness, there's something that I have noticed before with Lumix lenses when compared to Cine lenses that I've picked up on the 25mm as well. And that is to look at the bokeh. The Lumix gives you this very odd, busy bokeh. It's not that soft, it's not that dreamy. But these Sirui lenses, check the bokeh behind Michelle. It's soft. The edges are just so perfect. It's very creamy. It gives you a very, very pleasing look. Obviously, it depends what you like, but if you're looking for out of focus elements, even if you stop this down to T2.8, it's a lot prettier than the 12-35. Now, the reason that I've done this comparison is there's a lot of people that are saying, well, I may as well stick to the 12-35. It zooms, it's easier, I can keep it on my camera the whole time. But when you're looking at that, even at 2.8 on both of them, you can see that the Sirui is definitely a step ahead of something like this that is way more expensive. Sharpness and picture quality. Now, I'm not one of those brick kind of review guys that points the camera to the brick wall, but I am going to do it just for these videos because there's not a lot of Sirui Nightwalker videos out there yet, and some of you may be interested in it, but for me it's not really important, so I'll put the specs at the bottom over there and you can check it out. Cine lenses aren't actually designed to be super sharp. They're designed for characteristics to make it look a little bit more pleasing to the eye. Digital cameras nowadays are insanely sharp and the sensors are obviously very, very good. And when you are filming in 4K or 5.8K, you're getting a ridiculous amount of sharpness. So if you're looking for a much softer image, and soft not being a bad word here, just something that's pleasing, cinematic, that looks good, softer on the eye, maybe more relatable to whatever you want to film, whether it be weddings or something like that, this is where Cine lenses come into play. Chromatic aberration. Now, at T1.2, there will be chromatic aberration. I mentioned this in the 24mm and I showed you some. However, there is something that you need to understand when it comes to chromatic aberration. If the chromatic aberration of a lens is not detrimental to every single shot, in other words, if I have hairlight kicking from behind, maybe over here on this side, and you don't have this color fringing in everyday kind of shots, then it's not that bad. If I take it and I point it to some super blown out leaves with some high contrast, then yes, you're probably going to get chromatic aberration, but that's not a normal shot that you see in every single video. But at $309, it's pretty much perfect. And there's really not much you can complain about when you're paying that price. Bokeh. As you've seen, the bokeh is flawless, and you're probably wondering why I'm bringing bokeh up again. And that is because there is one test that no one ever does, that I've done before, that I think is very important to the average person watching it. And that is the bokeh that you get from half body shots as well as full body shots. It gives you a good understanding of what type of picture quality you may get when you are filming with these. So this is the Sirui 35 at T1.2 half body. The bokeh is soft, it's pretty, and it's pleasing. Now if you step back quite a bit and you get a full body shot, this is the bokeh that you get when shooting at T1.2. Now, one thing that I have to mention, and this is not a Sirui thing, this is a lens thing at low f-stops or t-stops. The further you move back and try shoot something at T1.2 or f1.2 or f1.4, and you're doing full body shots, the focus always looks softer. It's got nothing to do with the quality of the lens. You can take a very expensive lens, shoot it at f1.4 from far away, and you'll see that your subject isn't that crisp. So with this, if you stop it down to T1.4, T1.5 instead of T1.2, you get a lot more pinpoint sharpness on your subject. So just keep that in mind. This applies to every single lens. It's always good to never go to its lowest f-stop or lowest t-stop when shooting from far away. Focus breathing. The focus breathing on these is insane. There is no focus breathing. I've spoken about this before. There's a lot of out of focus elements that you get, and some people say that that is focus breathing. That's not focus breathing when you get out of focus elements. The 24mm, the 35mm, and the 55mm are all identical, and I'll actually be doing a side-by-side of all of those in the full comparison review that I do across all of them. I've dropped a link in the description below where you can pick up the Sirui Nightwalker series. just one thing about picking up the series right now, it is probably better to pick it up now that they are on a hot deal, because when the 16 or 17mm possibly releases, and maybe the 75 or 85mm, whatever may happen in the future, you're probably not going to get this deal. However, Sirui is definitely sticking to the same form factor. So definitely try and grab yourself a set of these now. Amazing lenses, wide range that's going to be coming in the future, and honestly, these are great. Other than that, I'll see you guys in the 55mm T1.2 Sirui Nightwalker review, wherever you are in the world. Have a good day, good evening, good night. Goodbye.